It's now official. Nigerians will have to pay 58% more for every litre of petrol. Last Tuesday, National Oil Corporation, NNPCL, announced the price hike from $5.68 to $8.97 per litre depending on location. But did you know that between April 2022 and today, the pump price of petrol in Nigeria has skyrocketed by a staggering 418.50%? I mean, in the last 2 years, the price has gone up from $1.73 to $8.97. In this story, Just Nigeria's Mercy Frank looks at what the recent price hike would mean for you, the economy, and what to expect in near term. Have a look.
Fuel is the lifeblood of everyday life in Nigeria, but the country seems to be choking on its energy crisis. Skyrocketing prices, persistent shortages.
Nigerians need to understand that there's still a differential between the real importation cost, how much it costs for refined product to come into the country, and how much is currently being sold at the retail head.
And a government struggling to keep up.
What is clear is that this debt is now beginning to impact the operation of NNPC itself.
Even the GMD or NNPC, if he was asked to assess his performance in the downstream with regards to the refinery, there's no way he can give himself above a poor.
What is behind Nigeria's never-ending fuel crisis? Oil is the most consumed primary energy fuel in the world. That's according to Statista. In 2023, some 196.43 exajoules worth of oil were consumed. For Nigeria, OPEC's largest oil-producing African country, petrol consumption between January and July 2023 moved from 62.31 million litres to a decreased 45.47 million litres. But with each litre consumed comes a harsh reality for the one who pays. 47 years ago, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, now NNPC Limited, was established. 4 years, the NNPCL managed Nigeria's cash cow, but its perceived corruption over the years may have turned it into a financial drain.
It is bordering that NNPC that declared a profit in 2023 could be reporting that it's insolvent. But a close look at the financial statements, even though they had a 3 trillion profit, but there were future sales obligations that were in the excess of 3.8 trillion, which shows net for net that there was no profit.
First, we see in 2022, donation by the NNPCL was about 314 million naira in that financial year, only for that number to jump up to about 11.3 billion naira in 2023. This is over 3,500% in the space of 1 year. And when you further probe into a breakdown of that number, we see that about 90% of that 11.3 billion went to the NNPC Foundation.
And just like a basket that barely holds liquid, the leakage points expands.
If you also go on to factor in how much has gone to cater for their top management officials within the space of 1 year, we see over a 100% increase. That figure was 1.3 billion naira in 2022. It jumped up to about 3 billion naira in 2023. We've seen the wage bill within the NNPC structure jump up by over 180% in the space of 1 year.
There were reports of NNPC owing international suppliers, to which it flat out denied.
The traders continued to supply NNPC refined products because for them, the risk was perhaps maybe a little worth it, because every time that Nigeria delays payments by up to a month, for every cargo of delayed payments, Nigeria has to pay a penalty of $250,000. So which meant at the time that $300 billion was being owed, a significance of that amount might have been due to this, penalty charges.
The debt is huge, over $6 billion. With the exchange rate of 1,600 naira to a dollar, that's 9,885 billion naira.
Generally, Nigeria would tender for 1 million tons per month. But because some of these marketers had stopped submitting tenders, I think in July, was it June and July, the tenders came down to 850,000 tons.
After President Bola Tinubu removed fuel subsidy, the 2023 supplementary budget and the 2024 budget reflected the change. An expert disagrees.
The NNPC's financial statement of 2023 showed a different narrative. They've pointed out that the federal government was owing the company about 5.1 trillion naira. And the breakdown of that 5.1 trillion naira showed that between January and May, there was subsidy payment of about 3.3 trillion naira. However, we saw that between August and December, the term energy security expenses was used, which is a form of subsidy payment.
PMA prices jumped from 189 to 400, from 400 to 500, from 500 to 600, from 600 to 690 to 710, now to 850. And in filling station owned by independent individuals, independent marketers, is as high as 1,200.
The numbers tell one story, but the human impact is equally profound. In the heart of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, is Nuruddin Kasim, a commercial bus driver for over 10 years. He says he has survived several fuel pump price increments, but this one hits differently.
Before, they carry 300 naira from here to Keja, but now they carry 500. Our passengers, they complain, say the price is too much because of fuel. And to see fuel by itself, na problem. We dey dey inside queue 3 hours, 2 hours to see fuel buy. Before, like 10 minutes, our motor don full. But now, before we load, we can use 30 minutes, 20 minutes, no passenger.
The fuel queues have dissipated here in Lagos, but the lamentations linger.
If you go market today, another thing you meet something 1,000. Tomorrow, 1,500 naira.
I went to buy vehicle spare part at Oregon. What we used to buy for 500 naira before now costs 2,500 to 3,000 naira, and sometimes it's difficult finding original items.
The situation is no different in Abuja, the nation's capital.
From here to Gwagwalada is 1,500 as against 1,000 naira.
From area 1 now, I'm going to Kuje. So the transport was it was 700, later increased to 1,000, but presently now it's 1,300.
With our salary earners, they don't increase our salary like that.
About 420 kilometers away, on the streets of northwestern Kano, residents also feel the heat.
Initially, my full tank was 15,000. Now, before I can fill my tank, I have to spend up to 80,000 naira.
I went to buy a beans day before yesterday. The man told me that it has risen to 2,000 per half mudu. I had no choice, I just have to buy because I will eat.
An expert warns that the impact of the crisis indicates far-reaching consequences.
So about 90% of businesses in Nigeria are SMEs. Large proportion of them depends on PMS. They cannot afford diesel engine. So they have to deal with small generator. How will they finance their power with 1,200? And we don't have sufficient supply. They have to go back and queue. And the more they queue, they are losing man-hour.
The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria recently warned Nigerians ahead that the petrol price hike would lead to higher prices of commodities in the face of dwindling disposable income.
The impact of this increase is instability. The price of what you consumed yesterday may not be the same today, and it may not be the same tomorrow. The price of corn would increase, the price of akara will increase, the price of akamu would increase. These are food we consume in Nigeria.
In between the state-owned NNPCL and Nigerians are independent oil marketers, often accused of sharp practices.
Since we fully rely on the NNPC, we have to complete the balance payment. Already we have outstanding ticket for almost getting to 2 months with the NNPC, and in the virtue of to go and load those tickets, they say there is an increment.
Chief among complaints from Nigerians is hoarding to create artificial scarcity.
Normally, the quantity that we are getting is not able to satisfy our filling station to close of hoarding.
I'm sorry, people may have to queue more.
On September 3, 2024, Dangote Petroleum Refinery, the largest private refinery in Africa, unveiled its locally refined petrol, offering a glimmer of hope. But that was quickly dimmed. The NNPCL announced without warning an upward review of the pump price of petrol from 617 naira to 897 naira, with Dangote promising to reshape the local fuel market and the NNPCL standing tall as the supplier of last resort in line with the Petroleum Act 2021. How much of a game changer could this really be?
It's a way of improving supply in the country.
The cost of taking the product to Europe, bring it to Nigeria is no more there. There is also marine insurance because you must insure your product because anything can happen on the IC. So the marine insurance is no more there.
How will Dangote consistently get this PMS when we already promised significant part of our crude for sale, for under forward sale, and we have collected the money in advance?
The situation could be worse or better depending on what next steps are taken, both short and long term. Industry stakeholders make recommendations.
For NNPC to become a proper company and allow Nigerians to buy into it. So they should take NNPC to the stock market like this envisaged by the Petroleum Act.
If it's importation, they should allow us to start importing instead of allowing only NNPC to import the product.
In the dollar, we need to peg. In petrol, we need to refine locally and perhaps provide support beyond just giving at global rate to Dangote.
The fuel crisis in Nigeria is an intricate web with far-reaching consequences. Experts suggest learning from the experiences of other oil-producing countries leveraging on their liquid gold in the midst of high cost of crude oil and transition to sustainable energy practice. This way, over 200 million petrol consumers like Nuruddin wouldn't suffer for the sins of a privileged few. Mercy Frank, Just Nigeria.
So how much is a litre of petrol in your neighborhood, and how are you getting by? Share your thoughts with us on X at Just Nigeria TV. We'd like to hear from you.